Welcome to the 5% Club with David Pataki. If you want to grow a wildly profitable business, increase your sales, and work less, you have come to the right place. In this podcast, David digs deep into what it takes to build your business to new heights by giving you a step-by-step roadmap, hacks to avoid common pitfalls, and business building strategies that actually work. So, let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the 5% Club with David Pataki. I am your other host, not on the title card, but I am Maria Mejia. I'm here to help make sure that David stays on topic and y'all understand his crazy babblings as well. How you doing, David?
Yep. Oh, I'm doing fantastic today, Maria. It's so glad to see you. Yes, you may not be on the title, but you're just important to all this as I am. So glad that we are working together.
It's always good. I got my cup of tea, so I will not be freezing down in my office cave, as I like to call it. I'm stuck in the basement. That's where my office is, and so I got to make sure I keep myself warm these days. That, and I also have my little creatures to keep me, to keep me company. I don't know if you know, David, but those of you listening out there in podcast land, I've got 2 cats, and every now and then they'll just come downstairs and yell at me for just being here instead of upstairs with them, feeding them.
Yeah, and I've got sort of the opposite of that. I've got 2 dogs. And there is a cat that has joined the family recently, but the 2 dogs, they're kind of fun and a challenge sometimes when we do some recording that, if they see something. So I live in a rural setting. So I'm on a dead end street. I've got some trees and that at the back of the property. And, the funny thing is, so about a year ago, in fact, we just checked this with my wife the other day, that we took on a rescue. Now, she's a little Yorkie, and we started fostering her at the very beginning because she had a broken leg that the previous owners did not take care of. So it actually went beyond the point of repair. So they actually had to amputate one of her front legs. So I have a little 3-legged Yorkie that, by the way, has no issues getting around, will run around, jump around, like she has no idea she doesn't have a 4th leg. But the interesting thing, you've got to remember, she's about 6 pounds, so you can't get very much smaller than this dog. And out the back, at the one room, we have patio doors. And deer like to wildlife. The deer like to stay back there in the wintertime specifically and stay warm and eat and that kind of stuff. But there are times where Annabelle sees the deer and feels that she needs to scare them off with her tiny little bark. So one day it would be kind of fun to see if they actually encountered themselves in the wildlife, what would actually happen.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I used to have a dog that was like that. Growing up, she was a little wiener dog, and she'd just run out there or just bark at any animals that was in the backyard. They're kind of funny creatures because you let them out, they'll run onto the porch, and then they'll just stop. And then every now and then a deer will used to look at the dog, and the dog would just run straight back inside. We're like, oh yeah, you're a vicious creature, aren't you? There's adorable pets. Well, now that we've gotten our little pet high for the day. So here at the 5% Club, we love to assign homework. And if you have been following us for this season, hopefully you and your business have been growing and flourishing. So the homework from last episode was to set up a drip campaign to start the process of that.
That's it?
That's
Just
that's it.
gonna leave
That's
it hanging like
understanding.
that?
Yeah.
Wow, Maria. Okay, yeah. So for sure, we did ask you to set up get your compelling offer figured out and have a way to start collecting emails to put into a database. Because we did talk about getting a drip campaign set up and always offering value every time, every touch point. Because as you know, or as I've talked about in the past, that 80% of your prospects will buy on the 5th to the 12th time, 12th touch point. So the more often that you can add value and touch your prospects, the more likely they are going to buy from you. But interestingly enough, during that episode, we were recording it, I realized that there might have been an important key factor that I have not talked to you folks about. So I thought that we would, just a little bit out of order, and I apologize for that, but hopefully this will help. Maybe bring some things together as far as what we've talked about in the past. So we are going to talk about the conversion equation. You go, well, what the heck is that? You might ask. Maria, is that what you would ask?
That's what I asked when you first told me.
Yes, the conversion equation. Like it is 4 steps. It's four areas of every point of contact that you have with somebody when you're trying to gain a lead. Now, this is for lead generation. Okay. Not for the conversion part. The conversion part is the education, being able to add value. But the lead portion is the best utilized or best done with what I like to call the conversion equation. And then I keep saying this. You go, okay, well, Dave, tell me, what
What
is the
is it?
conversion?
Come
What
on.
is it?
Mathematics.
Okay, well, it's 4 areas that it can be summed up with 4 short words. Okay, it's called interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. Last week we talked about, or an episode or two ago, we talked about, what is your offer, right? And we talked about in the past about who is your target market, narrowing down your target market. Okay, so we sort of went all around the conversion equation. And once you've narrowed down what your what your target market is, then you know what your interrupt headline is. Okay, so let me break that down. So the interrupt would be the headline of your ad. It would be your social media post. It'll be on your brochure. It'll be it could even be on your business card. This is a headline that will interrupt the person. Okay, the reason we need to interrupt is because that we're inundated on a daily basis between 2,000 and 3,000 different marketing messages are thrown our way. And if you surf the net more often, it could be up to 5,000 different marketing messages that are coming at you. And your brain, if it didn't have a way to filter this out, then you would go absolutely bonkers because your brain would not be able to process all the different messages that are coming out there. So your brain has this little filter, and it filters the stuff that only means something to you, right? So, for example, when you go out there and you buy your first red Tundra truck, for example, and when before you bought that, you never really thought about red Tundra trucks. Now, of course, I'm not sure if they actually provide or they offer a red Toyota Tundra truck. But anyways, the point is this: once you've bought that red truck, you look around, and all of a sudden you start seeing all these red Toyota Tundra trucks because now it means something to you. And it may not just be the red trucks. You might just notice a bunch of Tundras out there and you go, holy crap, I didn't realize that there were so many Toyotas driving around. Because before you bought that truck, there was no importance to you, right? So that means that your brain needs to be interrupted. It needs to be sort of woken up so you can take notice. So that's what the interrupt, and that's why we call it interrupt headline. It needs to speak to the problem that your customers are having so that it means something to them, but it also needs to interrupt them. And then the engage would be the sub-headline or the next sentence or the next word. Again, even if you're at a networking event, the interrupt is basically the first thing that comes out of your mouth, right? And then the second thing that comes out of your mouth, or the second sub-headline, or the second line anywhere, needs to be the engage. So the engage is, how are you solving? What is that you do that solves the problem that your customer or your prospects have? Okay. So again, interrupt is speaking to the problem. Engage is how you can provide a solution to solve their problem. And then the educate is you need to give them a few bullet points or quick ways of educating them on how your solution, your product solves their problem. So that's sort of proof, if you will. So you've got your interrupt, you've got your engage, and then you've got your educate. And what's happening here is that you're sort of moving them along that buyer journey that we talked about a few episodes ago. You've interrupted them. Oh, yeah, that's the problem I have. Oh, you have a solution that can help me. And now you've provided a little bit of proof on how you can do that. Okay, now I want to know what the offer is. And again, this offer should not be call me, because as soon as you do that, you've lost them. So the offer needs to be an educational offer or some other form. Again, a demonstration. It could be an invitation to a free webinar. It could be an invitation to a free in-person seminar. It could be all that, anything like that. It's adding value. It's low resistance. Okay. So you've got their attention. You've educated them, and now you've given them an offer. So that's the interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. So that is what is happening out there as far as what the conversion equation is.
Yep.
What do you think, Maria?
That's very detailed and very big. A note of caution, though, when it does come to the offer, like we've said in previous episodes, every person's at a different point of the conversion equation. So make sure when the buyer's journey, getting a bunch of terms mixed up, people are at different points in the buyer's journey. So when you apply the conversion equation to them, make sure that it fits at where they're at. So obviously your offer for someone still at the beginning of their buyer's journey is going to be different than someone who is at the end of the buyer's journey and ready to buy. So if you're just saying, if your general offer is like, okay, sign up for, this email list, sign up to receive my newsletter, that's not going to be helpful. And you might actually lose some people already at the end of the buyer's journey. So make sure that it's appropriate for the situation that they're at. Maybe they're ready to buy from you after they've heard your little spiel, they've heard your engagement, they've heard the education, they're ready to buy. Make sure the offer is, okay, well, let's set up an appointment right now to, talk and converse and all this other stuff. Or here's the product right now, right here, or here's the order form to order the product for yourself right now. So if they're ready to buy, have the offer be that purchasing option. If they're not ready to buy, we'll get them into that drip campaign that we talked about in the last episode.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now you're saying to me, all the folks out there are saying, okay, yeah, right, all right. Yeah, it makes sense to interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. But, give me an example. I don't really understand it. Well, guess what? I will tell you a great example here. Okay. So let's say, for example, that you're a parent of someone that has some behavior issues with one of your kids. Okay, so it's more common than it was in the past, or it's certainly more acceptable to talk about it or to admit that perhaps there are some behavior issues with your child. With today's screens and their faces and their lack of attention spans can actually enhance that. But anyways, that's going down a whole different rabbit hole. So let's say that for a different episode here. So let's say that you're looking for a child psychologist to help you. You're finally, you've been dealing with this on an ongoing basis, and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall because your hands are up in the air and you go, I have no idea how to do this. I'm not equipped for this. So a conversion equation for a child psychologist that wants to reach that target market. So the interrupt would be, quote, are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming, and confrontational attitude of your child? End quote. Okay, so there's the headline. So, wow, that's speaking directly to that prospect. Yes, they're tired, they're sick, and they're tired of the yelling and the screaming and the confrontation attitude of their child. So that's interrupting them, and it's speaking directly, like, to the very heart of what their problem is. So now you've got their attention, right? And remember, if they have, amazingly calm and quiet kids at home, this isn't going to speak to them. And that's perfectly okay, because you don't have a solution. They don't have the problem that you have, that you want to solve, plus you don't have the solution for them. So that's perfectly okay. And that's why it's super important that this interrupt headline speaks specifically to your target market, because they will react the most, and they know that you understand them because you're pointing out the problem that they have. Okay, so what would the engage be? All right, so let's, for example, we'll do this after. We'll do it in sort of a networking scenario after. But the engage, let's just say that this is a landing page or a social media post that you got out there. So are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming, confrontational attitude of your child? Boom, that headline interrupts you a little bit. Now you're interested enough to read the subheadline. And it reads, now discover the secrets of connecting with your child and instantly restore peace and quiet in your home. Bam! That's like exactly the solution that prospect wants. I want peace and quiet in my home. I want to connect with my child, and I want to do it as quickly as possible. So now you've pointed out the problem. Now you've told them that you're able to give them a solution to their problem. And now the educate part, of course, that's the social proof. I don't have direct examples of that, but that's something that you need to have there. And then the offer would be, let me send you a series of 60-second educational strategies to help you restore control at home. So there's the offer. It's low resistance and it's high value. All I need to do is click the button, give you my email address, and then instantly I'm going to get a series, and this is where the drip campaign comes in. I'm going to get a series, and yes, Maria mentioned it before. Don't be once a day, every other day. Be once a week, every 2 weeks, whatever makes the most sense. Okay, so but you're offering them value. You're giving them an opportunity to start learning from you and getting value from you before they buy from you. So you're helping them move along, helping them solve their problem before they've bought from you.
Yeah. So, connect. If previous episode we talked about, figuring out who your ideal clients are, figuring out what their troubles, why they need to purchase from you. So weaving that in and speaking to them directly, like with David's example there, who doesn't want to have peace and quiet in their home? Who doesn't want to connect with their family members? So figure out what is it that your clients really want on an emotional level, and how is it that you can fulfill that with whatever product or services that you give. And of course, giving a few tips. Don't give away the whole farm when you're talking to people. Don't give away all your trade secrets, but let them know, like, hey, here's what I do. And like, maybe even here's what I do different from other people in my industry that will give you a much better product, or this will be a much better service for your specific situation. And so figuring out what that is for your ideal client is very, very important.
Right, and don't be afraid to give a little bit away. Like you don't want to give the secret sauce away, but you want to give them enough value so that they like and this is again a little bit of social proof, or maybe not social proof, but this is definitely proof of how you can help them. So I mentioned, during my little spiel there that we were going to talk about, if we were doing a networking event, how would I use the conversion equation? Okay, so if I'm into a networking event, whether it's online or whether it's in person, the first thing out of your mouth would be something like, "Do you know someone that is sick and tired of the yelling and screaming and confrontational attitude of their child at home?" Well, if you do, I am able to teach them secrets on how to connect with their child that instantly restores peace and quiet in their home. And I do that by and give them a couple examples, right? And then I guess the offer in the in-person environment would be, I would love an opportunity to give them some of these tips. If they want to, give them a business card, say if you can go to this landing page, sign up, you can get tips right off the bat, where you'll get a series of 60-second informational strategies that will help them restore control in their home. So again, if I wouldn't say "do you," because you don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, like, sorry, "do you have a child at home?" It would be, "Do you know someone that is sick and tired of the yelling and screaming and so on and so forth?" Because it's less confrontational to them. But if they do have that at home, they would be like, "Tell me more." And the whole point of being able to, like, think of it like that. In a network environment, you want to position yourself so that the next words out of their mouth is, "Tell me more," or "Tell me how you do that," or "How can I learn more?" And that's the same emotion or stimulus that you want to happen with your online or your print ad or your brochure, your business card, whatever it is. You want them to go, "Well, how do I find out more information? I want to learn more." And if you can do that, then you're. And by the way, if you follow this conversion equation, you're going to be not only head and shoulders, you're going to be 100 times further along in your lead generation than your competition. Because believe me, your competition doesn't know this conversion equation and isn't applying it.
Yep. This is kind of, if you've ever played, when I was little, we used to play Candyland. I think also it's kind of a same as Chutes and Ladders or Snakes and Ladders. You can take shortcuts. You can go snake around the entire path, or you can take the shortcuts between different sections. This is the shortcut for your potential customers in their buyer journey. They could take the long way around, doing a bunch of studying, research for themselves, figuring out who does what. Whereas the conversion equations, it's all right there. You're telling them in like 3 seconds or less what it is that you do, how you resolve their not challenges, how you solve their issues that they might have, the things that they need to be resolved. You're there. You tell them 3 seconds, they're more likely to complete that buyer's journey much more quickly and to do services with you, to purchase from you.
Remember, like it doesn't matter what business that you have. Ultimately, you can boil it down to that your customers slash prospects slash customers, however you want to put it, they have a problem that they want solved, right? So the better you identify it, the problem, and the better you can articulate the solution that you have for them, the easier decision it would be for those prospects to decide to be a customer of yours. It's that simple. It doesn't matter whether you're selling flowers, whether you're selling gasoline at a gas station. Everyone has a problem. You might simple problem. Oh yeah. Well, the problem is that at a gas station, they need gas, because if they don't have gas, the car doesn't work. So they're when they run out of gas, that they don't want to run out of gas. That's their problem, right? So
So, all right. So for you to, not for you to continue to be part of the 5% club, but to be, take the most advantage out of the 5% club is to write things down and to act upon them. So the homework for this episode will be for you to work on your conversion equation. So, hone in on, what is it that you can offer. Make sure you write down, what is going to be your interrupt? What is your engage? What is your education that you offer them? And then what is the actual offer at the very end? Make sure, remember that it's going to take time for you. It's not going to be like, okay, 2 seconds. Here's my interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. Done. Post that on social media and hope that, people are going to come in. It will take time for you to kind of sculpt it into what it needs to be, to make it unique for you and your business and to fit those ideal clients that you've picked out.
right, and that's the key here. And don't be discouraged. Like this is something that might take years. Don't want to scare anyone off, but it could take years depending on how hard you work on it. But likely you could get it down to a few months. And if you're really good, you might be able to get it down to a couple of weeks. But it's something that when I say a couple of weeks, couple of months, I'm talking about like you're going to come up with your first conversion equation and you're going to test it, and then you're going to find out that you're going to be losing them maybe in the interrupt stage, or maybe you're losing them in the education portion of it. So you're going to continually work on this. This is going to be an organic process until you've got it nailed down. But the beauty thing is that once you've got this figured out, honed down to the T, it's going to be like a faucet. Like when you need new leads, you turn the faucet on. You put the conversion equation in play, and then leads are going to start coming down the pipeline, right? And when you have too many customers and you're not able to or you might be risking not servicing them the best way, you can turn it off. But the point here is, please continue to work on it. I mean, yes, take your stab at it now. Write it down, look at it. Don't ask too many different people, because if they don't understand what you're trying to do, then they're going to steer you in the wrong direction. One or two of trusted people, make sure maybe even have them listen to the podcast as well, this episode, so they can fully understand what you're trying to do. But the point is, and it's hard, difficult to do it by yourself, but if you really know your target market, that makes it easier. So just sit down there, figure it out, play with it a little bit in your mind, say it out loud, read it out loud, say it to somebody, tweak it a little bit. Can you change one or two words that will make a different impact? And then you try it. You put it out there. And if it's even possible, especially if you're going to do some sort of social media or a landing page, you can A/B test these conversion equation, right? So maybe keep the interrupt the same, or you change the interrupt, but the engage is different, right? So change them slightly up, and then if you A/B test, you will get there a lot quicker. And once you figure out the four components that work the best, now you've got that faucet to turn your leads on or off whenever necessary. And truly, that's what you want. You want to be in a position that you're able to turn, when you want to build the business or you need to add some more clients to the business, you turn it on. I know some businesses, you want continuous leads. If you're selling products continuously and there's no recurring sales portion there, then first of all, you might want to reconsider that business model, because recurring revenue is definitely one of the keys to a successful business. But if you're not there, then you'll be keeping your faucet turned on all the time. But that recurring revenue, that's something that we're going to have to talk about in a further episode. Again, like there's so many things that we can do, folks, and that we said it in previous episodes that you have to get out of your own way. You have to forget what you've done in the past. Look at what it is that I can change. And one of the key things right now, one of the most important things that you can figure out is the conversion equation. So I challenge you and encourage you to re-listen to this episode, write down your conversion equation, play with it, and start using it.
Yep. And we'd love to hear from you and what your conversion equation is. We'd love to, kind of brainstorm it together, if you will. Put it in the comments, or you can email us directly. You can email David directly at david@yourfsmatrix.com. He loves hearing from every one of you. Or if you have other questions or other topics you'd like for us to cover, you can reach us on our social medias at Your FS Matrix. We love hearing your thoughts, and we want to tailor these to all of your needs and the challenges that you face as business owners. So we will see you all in the next episode. And if you're listening to us out there in podcast land, you will hear from us next time. Have a great one.
All right. Remember, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
See ya.